Hi everyone, we made it to the end. Um, Please ignore how I look and sound. My 8-month-old and I are both battling flu A. It's really hit our school really bad, so I'm hoping all of you are staying, healthy. um, so this week's focus on performance and post production work really resonated with me in a really personal way. Um, at the middle school level, my kids are still learning what it means to be performers. They're enthusiastic and brave, but they're also really easily distracted. They're highly emotional, and they're still developing discipline. Because of that, Bogman's emphasis that opening night isn't really the end of the directing process really stood out to me. In many ways, Performance Week is where some of the most important teaching actually happens. Um, One of my biggest takeaways from this week's reading was the idea that maintaining momentum during the run of the show was so important. Um, Bogman talks about how directors must, continue shaping and protecting the performers even after the audience arrives. That really hit home for me. With middle schoolers, opening night's usually really magical. The adrenaline's really high, they're laser focused, and they rise to the occasion. But by the second or third performance, I really start to see the shift. Um, a line that got laughs suddenly becomes way overplayed, or a serious moment gets rushed, or the energy dips because, the big night has already happened. Um, Reading this really reminded me that my job during performance week is to quietly guard the integrity of the show and the story. Giving notes between shows, affirming strong choices, and redirecting drifting moments are not really micromanaging, they're teaching consistency. And consistency is a skill that my students desperately need as they prepare for high school. Um, Another meaningful takeaway was Bogman's discussion of professionalism during the performance phase. Middle school students do not automatically understand theater etiquette. They do not instinctively grasp the importance of call times or warm ups or staying quiet backstage or even just respecting their tech crew. Those behaviors have to be modeled and reinforced. Performance week becomes less about polishing lines and more about, cultivating that responsibility. I find myself reminding them that the show belongs to the whole team, not just the actors that are in the spotlight. That mindset shifts huge. It's huge at this age. It teaches humility. It teaches collaboration. And if they can internalize that now, they're going to walk into high school productions already understanding ensemble culture rather than having to learn it from scratch. Um, the section on strike and closure also really felt important. With middle schoolers, strike can easily feel really chaotic. But I've learned involving them intentionally changes their perspective. When they help take apart the set, or they help organize props, or fold costumes, or restore the stage, they really begin to understand the full cycle of theater. The production isn't just about applause and bows. It's about stewardship of space and shared effort. There's something really humbling and grounding about tearing down something that they were so proud to build. It reinforces that theater is temporary, it's collaborative, and it's bigger than any one individual. Um, Reflection after the production closes is another area where I see Bogman's philosophy connecting directly to my practice. Some of my most meaningful moments as a director happened during our post show conversations. I asked them what challenged them, what surprised them, where they saw growth in themselves or others. Middle school students are at such a formative age that these reflections often reveal really huge personal milestones. A really shy student speaking confidently for the first time, a student learning how to manage stage fright, or, someone just realizing that they can handle responsibility. Those conversations help them connect the theatrical experience to more personal development. It really moves the show from being just an event to being a formative learning experience. Ultimately, this week really reinforced for me that performance and post production work are really deeply educational. You know, Middle school director, I'm not just preparing the students for one weekend of shows, maybe two sometimes. I'm laying groundwork for their future experiences in high school theater and, beyond. if I can instill consistency, professionalism, teamwork, and reflection now, then I'm equipping them with habits that are going to sustain them long after they leave my classroom, long after they leave my after school program. The curtain call may feel like a finish line to my students, but after reading this week, it really reminded me that it's just a transition point. The applause fades, the sets come down, but the lessons, if I've done it right, really continue to help shape them. And that to me is the true work of directing, especially at, the middle school level where they're building all of this up from the ground. Thanks for listening, guys. It's been really great, hearing all of what you guys have had to say the past 7 weeks, and I hope the best for you guys. Bye.